Okay, today I am going to. I'm putting off the race video and the one about women later until later because I found a different topic I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry for not getting to those, but today's video will be my take on leadership instead. So I found a good article to quote for this one. It's not on a particularly religious site, and the web page is https://inspiringtips.com Signs of a Great Leader Bible. Spell it out. Okay, I'll just say the https // tips all as one word .com /signs of a great leader Bible /webpage Bible / and that's the web page. And the title of the article is 18 Signs of a Great Leader According to the Bible and How to Be. And it says last updated May 11th, 2022 by Victorino Q. Brugar. And I'm just going to read the checklist mostly and some of the Bible verses that go with it, or parts of the Bible verses used in the quote. We're not going to go with the how to be, and I'm going to skip over all the intro stuff to just do the checklist part. So I don't want to get in trouble like reading it word for word, and how that goes. So this is the checklist of 18 qualities of a great leader in the Bible. So number 1 is they are humble servants. The Bible verse quoted is Luke 22:26. But I'm going to just paraphrase it. But they want it's supposed to be let the greatest among you become as the least, and you have to serve. That's what the gist of the Bible verse is. It's not you're like. You're not being a bossy leader, but you are as a servant to those that follow your lead. So you have to make sure that they're okay and get the message through to them. It's not so much like the work boss, so that's what it means. Number 2 is they do not tolerate wrongdoing. And this is actually, the verse is actually a reference to the king not committing wickedness in the Bible. The Bible verse, Proverbs 16:12. 3 is they're honest and open. This is from Psalm 43:3. So we have examples today of honest examples today of people not being honest. They cover for things not honest about facts. It's happening all the time in the media, and they're not being careful. They're not doing wrongdoing. Just, let's move on to 4. They make rules that people will be glad to follow. And the Bible verse that they have quoted is with it is Psalm 119:35. And it's the quote is, "Direct me in the path of your commands, for there I find delight." Now, a good example of this is, we know that there's people who aren't making really good rules that people would be glad to follow right now. We know that from just reading the media, and I know there's people protesting, so that might be a sign that the leader might not be so good. And next is number 5. They protect their people. And it's quoting Psalm 139:10 is what they used. Well, making rules that people will be glad to follow doesn't include making rules that harm people, groups of people, races of people, genders of people. They make rules that people will want to follow. And protecting their people, this again, they mean, and protecting their people. So right here we're using an example of a workplace. It can be government or anything. And in case you don't get it, they mean anybody, in particular in a group of people such as at work. And you can't leave out other races and genders. You can't just concentrate on men or whatever. So some people are working just as hard as some other people in the group, but they're not getting noticed as fast as people of the that aren't their race. If you look at how hard the work the people of these other races, the guy who's sitting there, like what they call a kisser, those guys don't working that these other people are, and then you have this person who may not work as hard of maybe a white person that just sits there and does half the work because he gets away with it because of the preference for that type of race. You'd call that a butt kisser. Those guys don't work very hard usually. They're just trying to get ahead and not have to do their hardest work because they know how to get on the good side, so they don't have to. Alright. And with number 6, they are merciful and compassionate. And the Bible verse quoted from that is Isaiah 49:10. And it has an example of either hunger or thirst, and somebody would have compassion on them, will guide and lead them. So, we're going back to the example perhaps at work when your boss is not very compassionate or merciful. So they like quick on the draw. They like no excuses. They don't have mercy when dealing with people. Sometimes they fire people over really silly stuff. Say, for example, say that somebody does something they don't completely like or agree with. Sometimes they get mad and they're not very humble about what they do. They yell at them, like what I said before, they might fire them. And that's not very merciful or compassionate. It has to be all and compassionate. You have to hear people out. You can't just say, oh, they're bad. Okay. Bye, don't come back. You just can't do that. Okay, next is number 7. They do not tempt people to do evil. And the verse quoted is Matthew 6:13. And that's from the Lord's Prayer. Basically, not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. So, that's basically, they're not somebody who tells you to do something bad on purpose. They don't put it out there to try to lure you into doing something wrong. It's not about it's just committing a sin in ignorance. It's somebody purposely makes you do something you know is bad. That's the way we're not supposed to be. Next is number 8. And that is, they are knowledgeable and mindful. And that's a quote, comes with a quote from Matthew 15:14. And that's the one where about the blind leading the blind, and that they both fall in a pit. It means that they should be they shouldn't be like ignorant and just do things and then get everybody in a whole lot of a mess. So they think about what they do, and they know what they're doing. They aren't just, messing around. That's basically what that means. Then number 9 is they lead in peacefulness and godliness. And the quote is from 1 Timothy 2:2. And as basically was trying to say that the kings and all those in authority are supposed to be able to make it so that you can live in peacefulness and have quiet lives in all in godliness and holiness. So they usually aren't the hard authority. They think before they act, so that all can live in a decent manner. Okay, They want the leaders to lead peaceful lives in godliness and holiness, is basically the gist of it. Number 10, their words are respectful. That's from 2 Timothy 2:16. Well, it says reverent babble. But, if you're disrespectful to people, calling them names and things like that, insulting them, do what you want, rather to make them do what you want, it warns that people will be led into ungodliness. Number 11, they are hard-working. Romans 12:8 is where it's quoted from. Encouraging. Let him encourage, contributing to the needs of others. Let him give generously. If it is showing mercy, let him do it cheerfully. We have to think about that when we think about who we have as a leader currently. There are leaders who might make bad decisions or bad judgment calls in spite, based on maybe selfish intentions or, money and things like that. Number 12, they have good advisors around them. And the quote is from Proverbs 11:14. For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but many advisors make victory sure. However, we have a clear problem with the kind of advisors a leader might have. Now, if you have bad advisors who tell you not to do good for the people or do the right thing, well, that might be not a good leader to have in charge of you. Number 13, they are faithful leaders who work based on love. And it's from Isaiah 16:5. And it reads, in love a throne will be established, in faithfulness a man will sit on it, one from the house of David, one who in judging seeks justice and speeds the cause of righteousness. So, thinking of it in these days, we're finding there aren't too many people who are leading in this manner, and so if they're judging between right and wrong here, they don't want people to be showing partiality, but showing justice to all. Number 14, they have the will to serve. They're not greedy for money. And this quote is from 1 Peter 5:2, and part they want you to be willing, but here's the best part. As God wants you to be, not greedy for money, but eager to serve. And I don't even need to elaborate on that. Number 15, they lead by example. And the quote is from 1 Peter 5:2-3. And a different version than the last one. That was NIV. This is ESV. Oh, and a good part of the quote from the Bible is not domineering over the being. It's not domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock. Number 16, they got skills and integrity. Psalm 78, 72. And it's about David, and it says, with skillful hands he led them. And it also says integrity of heart. Which is something our leaders of today could use. So, we're getting close to the end of our list. Number 17. They are prudent, not hasty. The quote is from Luke 14:31. And I'm not sure. Well, the quote is about how a king is planning a war, and he's considering whether he should go against 20,000 men with 10,000. So that's the example. And I wasn't sure how exactly that applied, but they mean before they act, I guess, is what they're saying. Me, prudent and hasty means you don't fly off the handle and just do whatever you want because you think it's right and not consult people. Just do whatever you want because you think it's right and not consult people who may not with you. Agree with you. Okay. And number 18, they are a good role model for anyone. And this is from 1 Timothy 3:1-3. It starts out with, here's a trustworthy saying, if anyone sets his heart on being an overseer, trustworthy saying, if anyone sets his heart on being an overseer, he desires a noble task. Okay, and it says above reproach, husband of but one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. So, when we are, for instance, we're putting a person in charge, are we actually obeying this checklist? That's my question. I don't know, from some of the things I've seen lately, I don't see especially the role model part. Lately, especially the role model part, I see a guy who always wants to be seen as right no matter whether he's right or wrong. There are also people who support this person who are not doing the right thing either. They don't help the blind, the orphan. They don't try to help the hungry, clothe the naked, and other things that are mentioned in the Bible of better people. A good leader is going to try to be good to all people. Not people with money, not people who they have a vested interest in. They're going to be as fair as possible to as many people as possible. And I think this article is telling us, and that's all I... Not being the good leader as it explains to us. There are a few leaders that are good, but we're seeing a lot these days that aren't. That's what I was trying to say. And that's all I can say. Apply it as you are able and think things through. Don't just say, oh, because somebody makes people do this, that they're a good leader. It's like, not this. What it said earlier, that a good leader makes rules that people want to follow, and they're good to their people, and they understand them. They don't make really hasty decisions, fire or think of people as throwaway. If they make a mistake, they give them chances to make it right, and they're fair to all their people, and they listen to opposing views sometimes, think about it, and think if they can apply some of the suggestions other people have rather than just dismissing them in anger. So I think a good leader is definitely a little more thoughtful and mindful and considerate than some of the things I've seen lately. And I hope that you will take that away from this. That ends this my take on. Thank you for watching.